A very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News on TV1, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devasagayam.
And I'm Vinaji Sanaviratna. Here are your headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
Suspect arrested over removal of railway track components that caused one of our select train derailment. 50% additional surcharge imposed on vehicle imports. Deputy Minister of Finance urges delay in private vehicle imports. Vehicle importers warn of rising prices. Continued showers due to low pressure system. Number of weather-affected individuals rises to 4,354, with 149 houses partially damaged.
On to your top story tonight. The Ministry of Finance has taken steps to impose a 50% surcharge on the applicable customs import duty for imported vehicles effective from today.
Now, according to the notification issued under the signature of President Anura Kumara Dissanayake, this 50% surcharge is scheduled to be charged for a period of 3 months starting from today. However, it also states that this new 50% customs duty will not apply to vehicles for which letters of credit or LCs have been opened on or before the 15th of May.
Accordingly, an additional 50% surcharge will be levied on top of the 30% customs import duty previously charged for an imported motor car. Consequently, a 50% import surcharge must be paid on both the general and preferential duty basis. This additional duty applies to passenger motor cars, buses, jeeps, vans, goods transport vehicles, ambulances, motor vehicles and land vehicles as well. This additional duty will also be enforced on fully electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles falling under the hybrid vehicle category. Deputy Minister of Finance Dr. Anil Jayant Fernando said that rising imports, external shocks and global price increases have influenced the government's decision on vehicle import controls.
As we move forward in building the country with stability, two major external factors beyond our policy control have had an impact. One is Cyclone Ditwa. At the same time, during global war conditions, prices of oil imports, fertilizer and gas increased significantly. These were situations we could not prevent. When we look at imports over the past 2 months, import expenditure has increased by more than $2 billion per month. In vehicle imports as well, letters of credit are being opened at a significant and rapid rate. However, the issue is whether there is equivalent domestic demand or whether this is driven by fear created by the perception that imports will be restricted. Therefore, we made a decision.
The Deputy Minister of Finance clarified that the measure is not a new tax but a 50% surcharge on the existing 30% customs duty, applied for a limited 3-month period, aimed at easing pressure on the forex market and discouraging unnecessary panic-driven imports.
This is not an additional tax, it's a surcharge on duty. As of now, motor vehicles are subject to a 30% custom duty CID. This surcharge is 50% on the existing CID. Effectively, 50% of 30 means 15%. So the custom or duty that an individual importer for the personal consumption, if a vehicle, motor vehicle is imported, that additional amount will have to be paid. It has no reason to affect the market price. Why? This is only for a period of 3 months by requesting importers to defer the importation for 3 months if possible. But in any case, if any importer is in a dire need of importing a particular vehicle within 3 months, yes, you have to pay this additional amount, because in the market, the forex market, unnecessary, the panicking situation has been created that may lead to unnecessary pressure on the exchange. At the same time, that would leave room for opportunistic the traders and dealers as well, because we want to protect and continue and navigate the country based on the stabilization that we have already achieved. So therefore, this increase of the imposition of surcharge is only for the 3 months period for limited categories of vehicle. The details are given in line with the HS codes for individual motor vehicles, cars. which have excluded motor vehicle, motor bicycles, three-wheelers and commercial vehicles. So if anyone tries to use this information, try to manipulate the market, whereby increase the market price, there is no reasonable ground for this thing. Better not to be misled, better not to be trapped on these things. They may try to increase the prices because there is no reason for all the importation connected to LCs open up to 15th May will be subject to all taxes. So the prices would remain unchanged. Then we strongly believe that we have enough the stock, and all the LCs open up to now will provide you adequate vehicles for coming 3 months time. So therefore there is no adequate reason. So it is your duty as well to be vigilant and be actor based on authenticated information and trustworthy information, rather than believing and being misled by unwarranted information.
Meanwhile, the Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka states that vehicle prices will increase significantly in the future.
Over the past week, the dollar and the yen rose rapidly, so just from that alone, a vehicle's price will increase by about 10%. In addition to that, this 50% surcharge, meaning 50% on customs duty, is also a huge amount. Furthermore, a 2.5% social security contribution levy had also been imposed from the 1st of May. So when you add all of that together, a vehicle's price will actually rise by a significant margin. If we simply look at the newly imposed 50% duty again, to put it simply, if the selling price of a vehicle is 10 million rupees and the customs duty on it was 3 million rupees, another 1.5 million rupees will now be added to it. That is how the 50% is calculated.
Amid the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi recently made several appeals to the public aimed at conserving the country's foreign exchange reserves. His key requests include refraining from purchasing gold for 1 year, postponing overseas travel, and working from home whenever possible. Indian media reports suggest that a 50% reduction in gold purchases could help save approximately $36 billion.
In more local news, the committee appointed to ensure the smooth operation of the public service has focused its attention on removing the current odd and even license plate system for the distribution of fuel and instead providing fuel under a QR code system. During the committee meeting chaired by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya, officials pointed out that sufficient fuel stocks are available in the country until August, and that the required amount of fuel for the remaining months of this year have already been requested. The Prime Minister also focused her attention during the meeting on the continuous supply of electricity during the upcoming Vesak week.
This is Extreme Weather.
And we take a look at the weather situation in the country. As we all know, we've been having adverse weather over the past few days. Now, Binuji, the latest from the Met Department is that the low pressure area located northeast of Sri Lanka is gradually weakening and moving towards India. Now, the department further says that strong winds and heavy rains can still be expected due to its influence.
Well, yes, Krishan, Juhan Abdeen is ready to bring us more details on the rainy weather conditions affecting the island.
Thank you, Viniji. Thank you, Krishan. Now, Sri Lankans across the island have been experiencing rainy weather conditions. And the question now is if these weather conditions will continue for the next few days or not. And we at Newsfirst have been bringing you the updates throughout our news bulletins. Now, what Sri Lanka has been experiencing is a low pressure area. And what the experts have to say, the Department of Meteorology states that due to the influence of the low pressure area, wind speeds and rainy conditions in the sea areas around the island could increase within the next 24 hours. Accordingly, showers or thunder showers may occur from time to time in the sea areas of the coast extending from Mullaitivu to Galle via Kankasanthuri, Putlam and also Colombo. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places in other sea areas around the island during the afternoon or night. Now, the department also notes that wind speeds in the sea areas can increase up to 50 to 55 kilometers per hour at times. The department also advises the fishing and naval communities to remain vigilant regarding future forecasts and advisories issued in this regard. Now, let's now take a look at what we can expect over the next 24 hours and also a few weather-related incidents that were reported in the past 24 hours.
The Department of Meteorology states that intermittent showers or thunder showers can be expected in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern and northern provinces, as well as in the Galle and Mathura districts, due to the influence of the low-pressure zone located northeast of the island. Fairly heavy rainfall of about 75 millimeters may occur at some places.
The low-pressure area that is located northeast of Sri Lanka is gradually weakening and moving towards India. It will most likely cross into mainland India over the course of today. As the system's influence diminishes, the volume of rainfall will decrease. However, since the southwest monsoon is gradually establishing itself, there is a wind flow from the southwest. Consequently, there is still a possibility of intermittent showers in the southwestern parts of Sri Lanka.
Meanwhile, the Irrigation Department confirmed that minor flooding will continue along the Attanagalu and Kalu River areas.
කළුගඟේ මිල්ලකන්ද සුළුගම් වතුර තත්ත්වයක් දක්වා පවතිනවා. නමුත් ඊට එහා වැඩිවීමක් නිරීක්ෂණය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කෙසේ නමුත් බුලත් සිංහල
However, low-lying areas in divisional secretariat divisions such as Bulat Sinhala and Palindanuvara could still remain flooded. Meanwhile, the water levels of the Attanagalu Oya at Dunamale are gradually receding. Nevertheless, water may still remain logged in the low-lying areas of Gampaha, Katana, and Wattala.
According to the latest data from the Irrigation Department, water levels in the Kalani, Ding, Nilwala and Ma-Oya rivers are now gradually receding. Officials further noted that while nearly 20 out of 73 major reservoirs are currently overflowing, there is no immediate threat of major flooding. Are landslide warnings still in effect? Landslide early warnings remain in active force for numerous divisional secretariat divisions across 13 districts, including Badulla, Colombo, Galle, Gampaha, Kalutara, Kandy, Kegol, Kurunagala, Mathale, Mathura, Monaragala, Nurelia and Ratnapura. Furthermore, a level 2 landslide warning has been issued for 26 divisional secretariat divisions across 6 districts, namely Colombo, Galle, Kalutara, Kandy, Kurunagala and Ratnapura.
We urge the public living in these areas as well as those travelling through them to evacuate immediately if they observe any pre-landslide signs. We strongly advise everyone to act strictly in accordance with the announcements issued by the National Building Research Organisation and the Disaster Management Centre.
Has there been a slight increase in the number of affected individuals? According to the latest data from the Disaster Management Centre, the number of affected persons across 12 districts has risen to 4,354 individuals from 1,338 families. Currently, 250 individuals from 82 families are housed in safe shelters. 149 houses have been partially damaged, while one house has been completely destroyed. The Disaster Management Centre reminds the public that the emergency hotline 117 remains operational 24 hours a day to provide assistance during any emergency situation. 2 deaths were reported yesterday in weather-related incidents, with victims confirmed from the Jaffna and Batiklu. Meanwhile, 2 youths who were bathing in the Thawalgoda Canal in Koskama have drowned. The deceased have been identified as 18-year-old Kavisha Gimhan, a resident of Paranagama Koskama, and 19-year-old Malinta Sandeepa from Kanampella Koskama. They were part of a group bathing in the river when the incident occurred, and their bodies were recovered about an hour later. Notably, it was also the birthday of one of the victims, Malinta Sandeepa. The Madurankule Viharavava Dam has been damaged due to heavy rainfall. Officials from the Putlam District Disaster Management Centre together with local residents have since carried out emergency repairs by reinforcing the embankment with sandbags. Several areas in the Putlam district, including Sirimapura in Moondalama, remain inundated with floodwaters yet to recede. Flooding has also been reported along the Gampahajayala road in Akaravita and Gampaha Kandan Road in Kirindivita due to rising water levels of the Attanagaluoya.
Onto a headline-making story. It has been revealed that the train derailment that occurred early this morning between the Wanavasala and Kalaniya railway stations was caused by the theft of dismantled track components.
Now, 10 people were injured in this shocking incident, and a suspect connected to the theft has already been arrested.
The train that derailed early this morning was bound for Kalutara South from Polgahavela. The accident took place between the Wanavasala and Kalaniya railway stations. Following the derailment, one of its carriages overturned off the tracks in this manner. The accident also caused damage to a vehicle that was parked nearby. Steps were taken to admit the 10 individuals injured in the accident to a nearby private hospital. The cause of this accident was the dismantling of the motor points on the railway track. Following investigations conducted a few hours after the accident, a suspect who is alleged to have dismantled the motor points has been arrested. The Deputy Minister of Transport and Highways, Dr. Prasanna Gunasena, stated that reports indicate the suspect had dismantled and sold these components. What exactly are these motor points?
This point is used to switch tracks. It is what operates the point system, and all signals function through it. To change the track, there are iron bars here which we call rods. These iron bars are centrally controlled and changed from Maradana. Several rods installed on this track have been dismantled. Because they were removed, the first carriage of the train continued along the main line, while the trailing carriages moved onto the track leading to the Waste Management Centre. This is what we refer to as running on two roads. After travelling some distance like that, when it could no longer proceed, it derailed and the carriage overturned. That is what happened.
Operations to re-rail the train are currently underway.
Yesterday was a truly historic day, not only for the dedicated public officials who sacrificed so much to uphold the law, but also for every right-thinking citizen who longs for a decent, law-abiding nation. That milestone was the landmark judgment delivered by the Chilao High Court.
Yesterday, the Chilao High Court sentenced Jagat Samanta, a Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana member of the Arachikatu Pradesh Sabha and brother of the late former State Minister Sanat Nishanta, to 5.5 years of rigorous imprisonment. This sentencing comes in relation to an incident that took place 16 years ago. What was the incident? The incident occurred on the 24th of November 2008 at the Karukulia Jaitilina Temple. Dhanasena Surasinghe, who was serving as the Arachikatu Divisional Secretary at the time and personally faced this ordeal, explained the incident as follows.
There were instances of trees being removed from time to time, so I reported all such incidents to the Timber Corporation and other relevant authorities. During that period, several trees in the Bangadania Reserve had also been cut down and the timber was stored at a location. We lodged a complaint with the police and went to the Jayatilakarama temple to arrest the suspects and confiscate the timber. Shortly afterwards, the then chairman of the Pradesh Sabha, Jagat Samanta, along with another then Pradesh Sabha member and 4 to 5 others arrived at the temple and obstructed the arrest. The first defendant, Sanat Nishanta, arrived at the scene first. Without listening to what was being said, he slapped the left side of my face with his right hand.
Subsequently, Newsfirst reported on this development.
petrol can එකක් ගෙන්න ගත්ත කෙනෙක්ව මොටර් සයිකල් එක යවලා ගෙන්නගෙන ගිනි තියන්න සූදානම් වුණා.
Following this, the judicial process dragged onward through the courts for almost 2 decades. Although the first accused named in this case, the former State Minister Sanat Nishanta, tragically passed away in a road accident, The trial proceeded in his absence. At the conclusion of this lengthy trial, the court found Jagat Samanta guilty on 3 separate counts, including obstructing a public official from performing their duties, unlawful assembly and attempted assault. In addition to the prison sentence, the court ordered the accused to pay a compensation of 1 million rupees to the divisional secretary involved. The historic judgment was delivered by the Chilla High Court Judge Naomi Vikramasegara. In a notable moment during the proceedings, the judge granted the aggrieved former divisional secretary a dedicated opportunity to speak before the court and explain the hardships and immense pressure he endured through this prolonged 16-year period. This is exactly why the verdict delivered by the Chilla High Court yesterday is not just a personal victory for a brave public official like Dhanasena Surasinghe. It stands as an incredibly significant milestone for every single right-thinking citizen in this country who demands the rule of law and the ultimate triumph of justice.
The Sirasa Media Network played an important role in bringing this incident to public attention. Initially, I was hesitant to speak as the incident deeply affected me. It was only much later that I agreed to come forward and speak about it. The incident shocked the country and raised serious questions about the rule of law. The support of the Sirasa Media Network was significant as they stood by me throughout. Their backing gave me strength to move forward after such a difficult experience.
Now, what does it take to be recognized globally as a law-abiding nation? Let's take a look at this special report.
One of the primary factors that determines whether any country in the world is recognized as a civilized and honorable nation is the manner in which the law of the land is implemented. When the law operates as supreme within a country, and when every individual, regardless of high or low status, submits to that law without discrimination, that nation earns the respect and trust of the entire world as a law-abiding country. However, there are countries in the world where the law is not implemented in this manner. Even though some of these countries possess an abundance of resources, they never develop. A good living environment is never created. Why? Because law and justice are non-existent. The developed world identifies such countries as lawless or anarchic states. Alternatively, they are known as failed states. Do you remember an era when our own country had transformed into such an anarchic state? Just a few years ago, there was an era where the mindset was, I am the king and my word is the law. During that time, the rulers of the country, their families and their political sycophants thought that the law was nothing more than the dust beneath their feet. Consequently, these political sycophants acted to crush not only the ordinary citizens of the country, but also the law enforcement officers and the state apparatus that was bound to protect the national resources on behalf of the people. The supreme law of our country is the Constitution. It is crystal clear. Within it, the rights of every single citizen are protected. Yet, over the past few decades, certain individuals, ranging from the executive to the legislature, who had sworn to protect this supreme law, violated it. The only thing they failed to do was protect the law that they had sworn to uphold. They committed every illegal act imaginable. They violated public sovereignty. They exerted undue influence on the officers tasked with maintaining the law. Let us recall a few specific incidents. 1. The impeachment of Chief Justice Shirani Bandaranayake. Because she did not deliver rulings according to their whims, she was tried in Parliament overnight and removed from office through an impeachment. 2. The attack on Manjula Tilakaratne in 2012. The Secretary of the Judicial Service Commission was assaulted by an armed group. 3. The Manor Court attack in 2012. A group of supporters of Rishad Bathiuddin, a cabinet minister at the time, launched an attack on the Manor High Court and Magistrates Court. This was because they were dissatisfied with an order issued by the Manor magistrate. 4. Forcing a school teacher to kneel in 2013. Do you remember the incident at Navagategama Mahavidyalaya? Ananda Sarath Kumara, who was then a ruling party member of the Northwestern Provincial Council, forced a school teacher to kneel inside the school premises simply because she had reprimanded a student over a short school uniform. 5. Forcing a principal to kneel in 2018. Do you remember the principal of the Badulla Tamil Girls Secondary School being forced to kneel? That was done by Chamara Sampath Dasanayake, the then Chief Minister of the Uva province. 6. The murder of Kuram Sheikh during Christmas in 2011. Kuram Sheikh, a 32-year-old British national working for the Red Cross, was beaten to death during a party at a tourist hotel in Tangol, and his Russian girlfriend, Victoria Alexandrovna, was gang raped. This brutal act was carried out by a politically connected gang of thugs, including the then chairman of the Tangol Pradeshya Sabha, Sampath Chandrapushpa Vidhana Patirana. These are just a few examples. We can cite hundreds more. Because of this cruel, lawless and tribal governance, our country was isolated by the international community. This was clearly reflected in how our country plummeted on the Global Corruption Index. What exactly is this Corruption Perceptions Index? The Corruption Perceptions Index measured the perceived level of the public sector corruption on a scale from 0 to 100. 0 indicates highly corrupt. 100 indicates a very clean system. The index takes into account factors such as bribery, diversion of public funds, the efficiency of prosecuting corrupt individuals, legal protection, access to information, and the safety of whistleblowers and journalists. Globally, Denmark currently tops the list as the cleanest country with a score of 89. Finland follows with 88, and Singapore holds the next position with a score of 84. If we look at the countries at the very bottom of the index, we find nations like South Sudan and Somalia scoring a mere 9 points. These are ranked among the most corrupt nations. Where did we stand and where are we now? In the year 2002, which is 24 years ago, we were ranked 52nd in the world on the Corruption Perceptions Index. What happened after that? Let's look at the recent years. 2006, 84th place. 2009, 97th place. 2018, 89th place. 2019, 93rd place. 2020, 91st place. 2021, 102nd place. 2022, 93rd place. 2023, 94th place. 2024, 121st place. It is clearly visible how year after year the country was dragged backwards into absolute ruin and failure. What is happening today? Now in 2025, within a single year, we as a country are moving back in a positive direction on the corruption index. We have moved forward by 14 positions, improving our ranking to 107th place out of 180 countries. Why is the country progressing like this? Because today, the law is being enforced. Today, whenever a wrongdoing occurs, legal action follows. Let us look at a few examples involving allegations raised against the current government. First, the issue of the Speaker's qualifications. How did the government act? The individual concerned was immediately asked to step down from the position. Second, the coal issue. What was done? The subject minister stepped down to allow for an independent investigation. It did not stop there. A presidential commission with full powers was appointed. Now, not even the president who appointed it can alter its course. An independent inquiry was facilitated so that the entire process could be scrutinized. When those in power allow the law to take its proper course, it shows that the law applies equally to everyone, even to one's own people. Then why are certain political factions complaining? Of course, they have to complain. What do these people even have to say? One group claims that the bribery commission is wrong. Another group complains that lawsuits are being filed out of political vengeance. Now, who belongs to this faction that constantly complains? These are the very people who dragged this country down to the bottom of the corruption index to the level of Sudan and Somalia over the past 24 years. It was during their era that the law of the land was turned into lawlessness. We aren't the ones saying this. These are international indices. Today, in 2025, we are improving on the corruption index and have moved forward by 14 places. This demonstrates the enforcement of the law against corruption, and that is precisely why a certain group is whining. Just take a look at these faces. The majority of them are members of the exact same faction that dragged the country's legal system into ruin. The Supreme Court itself has ruled regarding several individuals who bankrupted this nation. However, there is another massive group that joined hands with them to cause destruction at the grassroots level. They are now appearing in various places in different guises and whining under various banners. Well, they absolutely must whine because they thrived on lawlessness and corruption. Now that they have lost power, they can no longer place themselves above the law. That is why some of them are reacting so desperately. The only thing left to say is this: the people of this country have not forgotten their track record. No matter how many times they gather in different places, day after day, changing banners and wearing different masks, thieves will always be thieves. The demand of the public is to catch the thieves. The people have not forgotten their demand, and the public remains vigilant.
On to more local news. The Guinness World Record for the world's longest sensory board was officially secured at BMICH today at Merak 2026, in a landmark achievement for Sri Lanka and global autism advocacy community.
Sri Lanka makes Guinness World Record history with Merak 2026 Sensory Board, an interactive learning tool designed to stimulate children's senses while supporting cognitive and motor skill development. Initially launched as an ambitious awareness campaign, has grown into a powerful national movement. Dr. Anton James, the visionary behind Merak and founder of the Treehouse International, celebrates this milestone as a collective triumph.
I started the only international school in Sri Lanka for children with special needs, and now more than 80% of the students from our school actually come to Sri Lanka. Instead of people from Sri Lanka leaving the country, they have chosen Sri Lanka as a destination. When I came here, I realized that children with autism, they struggle the way I struggled when I was younger. So I created a charity called Merak. So we planned it for 21 months, how we are going to do different to make sure that every person, at least one person in each household, to understand what is autism.
The completed record-breaking sensory board is open to viewing at the BMICH on 16th and 17th of May, giving visitors a chance to experience the installation firsthand. Celebrating Sri Lanka's global recognition, Merak 2026 shows what's possible when creativity, purpose and community align to break records and build meaningful understanding.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka officially launched operations to strengthen trade and investment ties between Canada, Sri Lanka and the wider Indo-Pacific region.
The Canadian Chamber of Commerce in Sri Lanka has formally established operations in Sri Lanka with the approval and support of Global Affairs Canada. CanCham SL serves as a dynamic platform to promote trade, investment, tourism and strategic business partnerships between Canada, Sri Lanka and the wider Indo-Pacific region. On the 16th of April, CanCham SL took part in a historic milestone by signing a landmark Memorandum of Understanding with Canadian chambers across the Indo-Pacific region in the presence of Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. During the signing, Prime Minister Carney announced Canada's commitment of $500 billion Canadian dollars over the next decade to strengthen economic ties in the Indo-Pacific region.
St. Peter's College, Bambalapitiya has extended its support towards the reconstruction of 4 schools in the Kandy district that were affected by Cyclone Ditwa.
The donation ceremony was attended by Reverend Father Rohit Rodrigo, along with a group of representatives from the college who officially handed over the donations. Sri Pranya Ratna Central College, Gilioya is among the schools that received assistance from the program. The donation was made following a request by the principal of the school, H.M. Herath. Several major needs of the school were addressed through this initiative, including the installation of a new smart board system, the complete renovation of the damaged sanitation facilities, and the provision of modern equipment for the school's new production unit. These efforts were made possible through the generous contributions of the students, parents, alumni and staff of St. Peter's College, Bambalapitiya.
Sri Lanka's first ever pop-up choir was held in Colombo today, bringing together hundreds of voices in a vibrant celebration of music, with participants performing timeless songs by Michael Jackson.
There you go, there you go. One more time. Just a snap. There you go. Gotta shake the butt. I'm struggling to do it.
The event aimed to break down traditional barriers to choral music, allowing complete strangers to connect, harmonize and sing as one. Participants gathered for a brief workshop earlier in the day to learn their parts before delivering the surprise Michael Jackson tribute performance to delighted shoppers.
It's Sri Lanka's first ever pop-up choir. What is it all about? It's people coming together to sing, to have fun. The first ever random pop-up choir singing a medley of Michael Jackson songs.
This unique musical experience was organized and brought to life by the Soul Sounds Academy.
And in global news, well, Binuji, we have developments in the war against terrorism, with US President Donald Trump saying that Abu Bilal al-Minuki, alleged to be the second in command of ISIL, or known ISIS, globally, has been killed in an operation conducted by United States and Nigerian forces. Meanwhile, the United States State Department announced that a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, initially set to expire on Sunday, was extended by another 45 days.
Well, yes, Krishan, Israel also said its military assassinated Hamas's top military commander in Gaza. Well, we have Tinal Tilakaratna to bring you the latest developments.
Yes, thank you, Krishan, and thank you, Vinajay. Now, in the latest coming in from the Middle East, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says that the US has sent a message indicating its willingness to continue peace talks. Now, he added that Iran is ready to accept assistance from any country in negotiations, especially China. Now, moving on, US President Donald Trump said that American and Nigerian forces have killed quote-unquote second in command of ISIS globally in a military operation in Africa. Now, he was declared a specially designated global terrorist by Washington in 2023. Now, meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said during a BRICS meeting that Tehran had received communication from the administration of US President Donald Trump indicating openness to negotiations aimed at ending the war. Now let's take a look at these developments.
US President Donald Trump said Abu Bilal al-Minuki, the second in command of ISIS globally, has been eliminated by US and Nigerian forces. Writing on Truth Social, Trump said the joint mission was, quote-unquote, flawlessly executed to eliminate the most active terrorist in the world, Abu Bilal al-Minuki. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu also confirmed the killing of the senior Islamic State leader in a joint operation with the US. Tinubu said in a statement, quote-unquote, Our determined Nigerian armed forces, working closely with the armed forces of the United States, conducted a daring joint operation that dealt a heavy blow to the ranks of the Islamic State. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has also said he would accept a 20-year suspension by Iran of its nuclear program in what appears to be confirmation of a shift in position away from a demand for a total end to it. Previously, he has called on Iran to permanently cease enriching uranium, a stage in making a weapon, and to be prevented from ever acquiring nuclear weapons. Meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said his government received messages from President Donald Trump's administration indicating it is open for new talks to end the war in the region, but distrust remains in Tehran about U.S. intentions. He said there also remains deadlock on the question of Iran's enriched material, with the issue of Tehran's nuclear program likely to be postponed until the later stages of future talks.
Lebanon has welcomed an agreement with Israel to extend their fragile ceasefire by 45 days after talks held in the United States. The original truce had been due to expire on Sunday, but diplomats said the extension was aimed at preventing a wider regional war as fighting along the southern Lebanese border intensifies. Despite the agreement, Israeli forces continued heavy attacks across southern Lebanon, and Israel also announced that its military had assassinated Hamas's top military commander in Gaza, although Hamas has not yet commented on the claim.
Israel has continued to attack Lebanon after Lebanese and Israeli negotiators agreed on Friday to a 45-day extension to an earlier ceasefire, which was in name only and saw southern Lebanese towns and villages come under daily assaults. More than a dozen people were killed, including 3 paramedics, in attacks on South Lebanon as the ceasefire talks in the United States were taking place. Hours after the ceasefire extension was announced, the Israeli army announced that it has begun striking alleged Hezbollah sites in southern Lebanon. The announcement came shortly after the army issued forced evacuation notices for 9 towns in Lebanon. Meanwhile, Israel said its military assassinated Hamas's top military commander in Gaza, al-Din al-Haddad. There was no immediate comment from the Palestinian group. The Lebanese armed group Hezbollah says its fighters launched 33 attacks on Israeli soldiers inside southern Lebanon on Friday. Gaza's health ministry said that hospitals across Gaza received 13 bodies over the past 24 hours, including 1 person who died from previous injuries, along with 57 wounded individuals.
And in sports news now, Vinuji, as we all know, cricket is the heartbeat of Sri Lanka. Especially 2026 marks 30 years since we won the World Cup back in 1996.
Well, yes, indeed, Krishan. Today, something truly special unfolded on the cricket field. Dinal is ready to bring us the latest details.
Yes, Vinuji and Krishan, as you mentioned, today was a truly special day for Sri Lanka cricket fans. And it marked the return to the field of the legendary 1996 World Cup winning Sri Lankan team, the side that wrote the golden chapter in the cricket history. Now, there is no doubt that many of the spectators who witnessed the match were moved to tears.
To mark the completion of 30 years since winning the 1996 One-Day World Cup, members of that legendary Sri Lankan team are currently on a tour in Malaysia. During this tour, the Sri Lanka team also took part today in an exhibition T20 match. They played against a rest of the world team, which was an invitational side made up of cricketers from various countries. The Sri Lankan team walked out to bat first in the match. Recreating memories of the past, the Sri Lanka Legends innings was opened by Sanath Jayasuriya and Romesh Kalwitharana. The opening partnership between the two added 36 runs. Aravinda De Silva played a brilliant innings, scoring 60 runs off 50 balls. Marwan Athapattu scored 18 runs, while Ramesh Kalvitharana contributed 17 runs. At the end of the allotted 20 overs, the Sri Lanka Legends team posted a total of 160 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. In reply, the rest of the world team chased down the target successfully, scoring the required runs in just 17.5 overs, losing only 2 wickets.
Tonight, we take you to a place where untouched serenity meets modern comfort. A peaceful paradise tucked away in the mountains. Tonight, on beautiful Sri Lanka, we take you to Balangoda and Belihuloya, a peaceful haven where the weariness of the mind simply fades away.
Balangoda and Belihuloya are more than just destinations. They are a unique blend of modern convenience and untouched serenity. With easily accessible waterfalls, tranquil lakeside shores, and thrilling adventures, it is a safe and welcoming haven for the entire family. From the heights of the Balangoda Range to the depths of the Belihuloya Valley, this peaceful paradise is a balm for the mind. Come, immerse yourself in this splendor.
Beautiful Sri Lanka.
And that's a wrap of tonight's edition of Primetime News.
Thank you for watching. Take care, good night, and God bless you.